Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Room 104, Season 1, Episode 3. I'll need to double check the name of this one, because the Knockadoo is the title of this episode. So, full spoilers for the episode. Of course, it's an anthology show, so you don't have to worry about spoilers for past episodes. It's completely self-contained. Of course, the uniting premise is that each episode takes place in the same motel room, but obviously the guests are different, so... Alright, so what is the Knockadoo? The Knockadoo is about a woman named Deborah who is joining a cult, or she's already in a cult. Actually, cult's maybe not the right word. I mean, it is a cult, but it's more like Scientology than it is like, go and meet in a place and do rituals.
Still a cult.
Still a cult, but it's more, it's come and visit and we'll pay us lots of money and we'll do a
Yeah,
stupid ritual bollocks.
yeah. She's already part of it, and this is, I think they call it transcendence is the ritual.
Transcendence, yes.
So it's like, yeah, this is the next stage.
So Orlando Jones, who I was going back and forth if it was Orlando Jones throughout the episode, because I thought the whole time I thought he looked like Orlando Jones, but I thought he looked too young to be Orlando Jones. So credit to him.
I think it's his voice. He's putting on a different voice. It's normal.
Because I was like, oh, looks like Orlando Jones, but he's too young. Orlando Jones looks older than this now. Because he's
Apparently not.
He's got on. What age is he? I'll click on his name here. Let's see. Let's find out. Let's get to the bottom of this. Yeah, 68. So he's what? He's
Looks good for that.
49.
Yeah,
Or it will be this year, depending on when his birthday is.
yeah.
But he's looking good for his age.
He is.
For
I like Orlando Jones, so I was happy to see him pop up.
I like him too. So that's kind of the plot. We get some videos as well. Tony Todd, actually, another face I was happy to see, is on the videos. He's like the
Father.
well, that's what they call him. I was going to say
Yeah.
lead huckster is going to be my phrase, but
Yeah.
yeah, he's on the video. Horror fans will know him well. He's obviously Candyman, and he's popped up in a lot of other roles throughout the years. But so this is kind of the thing. So they put on the robes and he shows all the DVDs. And there's a whole point where they don't actually have a player in the room. She has to phone the desk to get a DVD player in the room.
I was shocked that they managed to get it so quickly. Like, if they can get a DVD player that quickly, and be like, yeah, sure, we'll have one there in 2 minutes. Why not just have one in the room to begin with?
Oh, because they probably don't have enough for all the rooms, so they probably just keep them, and when the one's requested, they give them out to the rooms.
Yeah, fair enough. Didn't think of that.
Yeah, say they've got 20 rooms, they've got 10 players. They thought, oh, we'll just keep them all, and then
Yeah, makes sense.
so, but yeah, so they watch the things, and he basically does that I don't even know what you call it. The when you sort of shut your eyes and someone describes a situation to you and talks you through it. I've been in that. So I remember like it being a day in school at one point. Like someone like we did this kind of thing. Not like a cult-esque thing. Just the idea of like imagining stuff as someone's telling you a story to music.
Yeah, it's usually used. It's usually used like guided meditation.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Don't ask me what we were doing that day in school that it required this, but it was a thing. But so they do all this, and it's basically they're looking through our past memories. Like they're expecting to find something, and Samuel, which is Orlando Jones's character, he starts getting frustrated. Every memory she brings up is really boring. It's just like,
Oh, you can just see the boredom on his face.
it's just like. Oh, by the way, finally saw inside the bathroom this episode. I thought that was notable.
Yeah, that's true.
So she did all this and he's getting bored, and he's like, look, none of this is working, and she's starting to doubt like this isn't working. Like, what's wrong? And he's like, have you never had any good, like not good, but any sort of strange experiences, experiences that can't be explained? Did you ever see a ghost? Did you ever experience something paranormal? Anything like that? And she's like, well, that was kind of one thing. And
She's like, there was this thing, sort of, with a magician.
Kinda, and the magician thing came out of nowhere almost at the end of the story, which is why like I'm not taking it literally what she says per
Right.
se when we get to the end of the story. But she tells this story of when she was a young girl. I'm going to assume about 11, 12, just from the story.
From the context
Yeah.
of what else she gives in the story,
Yeah,
I'd say, about that.
About that age. And she was walking home with a friend. Oh damn, I forgot his name.
Herman.
Herman. Yeah, there's a H. Herman.
I remembered it because it was a weird name.
Yeah. So she's walking home with a friend Herman. It's not that weird.
don't know, seems weird to me.
In fact, on the news, we were just talking about the monsters, and the husband in that is called Herman Munster.
Right, but I just still think it's a strange name. I don't think it's the name you hear very often.
I mean, maybe it's saying that I immediately jumped to the one place I knew Herman from as soon as you said it, but there you go. So she's walking home with him, and she's telling this story. So it's worth mentioning, a lot of this episode is her sitting with her eyes shut, and Orlando Jones is watching her tell a story, and like there's maybe some music playing, and he changes all the light bulbs. We get this really red light behind her, but he actually goes around changing all the light bulbs, so there's like an explanation for the fancy lighting in this case. And at one point, he lays out candles later on, and there's, it's all this procedure, the ceremony of it all, a lot of bollocks. So she's telling the story. So walking home with her friend Herman one day, and he starts telling her about the Knockadoo. And she's like, "What's a Knockadoo?" And he explains it's this weird bird, but it shapes its fur at the top, its feathers like a top hat almost. And she's like, "Oh, that's not real." It's like, "No, it is. I can show you. It's in the woods, just in there." And so she goes with him. Again, all in story. She's just sitting in her room telling this story, and he's like, "See those holes in the wood or in the tree or whatever the object was. It pops out of there. I'm going to go behind and see if I can get it out," kind of thing. And the whole you can kind of like, this just feels weird. He's taking her into the woods. And I actually stopped and questioned. I was like, did I miss a part of this story? Because I actually went back to see if someone else popped into the story. I wasn't sure if it was the friend who'd taken her here. Like because I thought I knew where it was going. I was like, wait, is there someone older involved now who's doing something dodgy? Like, but no, I went back and checked, and sure enough, it was him. And it's almost kind of darkly amusing the way she tells this story.
Yeah.
Because the way she refers to, because basically he sticks his penis through the hole, and he's trying to initiate obviously some sexual activity here, and the way she talks about whacking his pecker, like that phrase just sounds kind of amusing, despite the fact that what's happening is certainly traumatic.
Yeah.
And so he's trying to do this. He sticks it through the hole, and she hits it. But then
with a rock.
With a rock, yeah. She bashes it with a rock, and next day she sees him at school, and he's fine. And she asks, "Are you okay?" And he says the pink man made it better.
Doctor.
Pink doctor. The pink doctor made it all better. In fact, it's better than it was before. It's bigger. And he says you should go see her, or I'll tell on you. Or go see him, or I'll tell on you. And she goes back to the same spot as before, and she sees this man
in the shack. To be fair, not just out in the woods.
Oh, sure. He's in a shack, but he comes out and he's floating.
Yeah.
And obviously at this point I'm like, okay, this story took a weird turn. Like, obviously it was already like a
well,
deep...
that was it. I was waiting the whole time because she'd been asked something supernatural, paranormal, that sort of thing. So I was waiting for something. But
like up until this point, yeah, you can tell why it's a meaningful story to her. It's this traumatic thing to go through. At that age. I mean, it's traumatic at any age, but at this age, traumatic. It's probably her first experience like this. Like, she even says, like, her mother told her, "Oh, nothing like that should be happening with boys." Like, that's how she thought of it at the time. That's the age she was at. And she mentioned she got her first period. It was after this, but it was on the way home. She had her first period. And the idea that this was like her first sort of gateway into like these like sort of sexual ideas that we're going to start invading her life, because there's not really much choice you've got. At some point, you're just going to start to become aware of all these kind of things. Whether it's the creepy boy that you talk to who tries to whip it out one day, or if it's just a more sadly that's probably more normal than you'd like it to be, but like just other ways that you start to come across these things at that age. And so you're like, okay, so what does this floating magician dude at the end represent exactly? Like, is this a coping mechanism? Is this what's going on? And I don't think you can answer that at this point in the story. I think you have to go through the rest of the story and where we go with it before you can really start to analyse what that means. So let's continue on with what happens next. So basically it's not working, and he then theorises, oh, this is what was it called? An incomplete, he calls it?
It wasn't during that story. It seems to be working a bit, because obviously the lights will start going, they'll flicker.
Oh yeah, she talks about an electrical energy, and that's when the lights start to flicker.
Yeah, and they'll cut out and stuff, and he looks kind of worried. And up to this point, when he was getting really bored, I was wondering, does he even believe in this cult nonsense, or is he just there for money? Like, is he aware that it's just like probably a scam of some sort? He's trying to get the money,
Yeah,
and he's
well,
kind of going, "Come on, work through this."
because the funny thing is, for the first half of the episode, I was thinking that, oh, the twist is going to be that isn't stupid. This is like she's going to end up going into an alternate reality or something at the end of this episode. Like I thought that maybe where it builds to,
Yeah.
and that'll be like, oh shit, that's. And it ended up being more of a personal kind of analysis of herself rather than
Right,
anything like that.
but I was like, okay, he was getting really bored, but then at this point, he was getting really, like a little worried when this was happening. I was like, oh, is this like he's not expecting this to be real? Whatever's going on now.
Again, we'll go back and look at that once we've talked about where it goes,
Yeah.
because I think where it goes indicates something different to what that moment kind of points at.
Yeah, yeah.
So he explains that this is an incomplete, and he gets out this folder with different images in it and stuff, and he shows her the image, and it looks kind of. When I saw the drawing, I was like, oh, it's kind of Babadook-esque.
Notably with a top hat.
Well, the top part again, yeah, it's kind of hearkening to. I guess it's showing that it's probably something symbolic.
Yes.
And so he puts on another DVD, and Tony Todd explains is basically this incomplete is an entity that has implanted a block in your system that's going to stop you from transcending. And luckily, though, there's a procedure for this that the agent there can do, and he whips out this giant rod. Because at first he takes out this little thing, right, and it's something goes up the nose because the whole idea is it's this baggage above the nose. And he whips this thing out, but then he extends it, and I'm like, why didn't it be that long?
Before while it's in the bag, you can't really see it properly. I was like, oh, it's just a screwdriver. That's what it looked like. And then he just extends it, like, that's not a screwdriver.
Yeah. Arguably slightly phallic, which I think is relevant to the story here.
Yeah.
And she doesn't want to. She's like, I didn't know it was going to involve this. Like, this is weird. But one of the things that he explained early on is, once we start this, we can't stop halfway through. If you give him the money and you want to start this procedure to transcend, we have to complete it. And then when she sort of gets nervous here, it's like, well, I'll say two things. One is that if you back out halfway through, your soul will be damaged, and it'll take lifetimes to heal. And second, I'm actually jealous of you because this means you'll be more powerful than most people are after they've transcended. Yeah. And so then she agrees. He's put out some candles. He gets on top of her on the bed, and he starts basically ramming this rod up her nose. And as he's doing this is where it gets really trippy. It starts like flashing. Like we get quick cuts of Tony Todd on a DVD, and we get quick cuts of basically this Pink Doctor guy. With the beard, and we see sort of quick shots of him, and of course, lots and lots of cock. Right, there's lots of cock. My favourite shot of cock, because obviously there was some quick shots of just cocks, right? But my favourite shot here of the cocks, and I never thought I'd say that sentence, but there's something amazing about the whack-a-mole board with cocks coming through the holes as if you're meant to bash them.
And I can't argue with that.
And while the topic of the episode and what this is about is actually very serious and should be taken such, there's nothing about that image that isn't 100% hilarious. And I just...
No, it's true. It's intentionally funny, isn't it?
Yes. And the episode ends basically right here because she reacts, and we don't see it on camera, but it's very, very heavily implied that she has just crushed his penis. She's crushed Orlando Jones in the junk. And I actually think the meaning behind this is fairly straightforward. It's, when she was a kid, she was tricked, she was, conned into a location, into an act, and it turned out to be like, a lot of bullshit. It was for, self-goal. It was this kid's self-goal for a girl to touch him or do whatever the kid was planning or hoping for. And then this is the same thing that's happening years later, that this con artist is going through all these motions. It's all just a ruse for self-goal. Well, that's the money. Well, you can even go further with it and say it's very phallic. It's pole instead of a penis.
He's on top of her.
He's on top. It's dominance.
We see it like from her point of view,
yeah.
And it almost looks like a sex shot.
Yeah, it is.
And he's there going, "Oh, smile, enjoy it."
It's dominant. In fact, there's even and whether or not you could argue this is actually happening or not, but like during that whole quick montage of all the penises and the video parts, he starts getting very foul-mouthed with her, and he's not been like that through the whole episode. Through the whole episode, he's been very calm and very collected, and it's like, is he actually starting to say these things, or like, because again, like if this is all a ruse and they want to do this? Like the goal is to do something with the rod. Like, is he doing that to everyone? Did they always go through this? And like, yeah, sure, the DVD says you're one of a select few, but that's of course part of the con. It's
Right,
like,
but why the rod? Like, you know, they've got the money. Why do they need to do the rod? From their perspective.
So she can't tell everyone else it's bullshit, so she gets lobotomized, and that's why he's always on the road, and he never stops in one place for too long. So they con them, lobotomize them, so they can't tell anyone, and off in his way he goes. But she fights back because she learned at an early age to bash it with a rock, I guess.
Pretty much.
But you know, and the blunt term. But you know, it's the same idea. Is that she again has been taken advantage of for the other person's own gain, for dominance, and that's kind of the thing. And that's where you get into what is the Pink Doctor in this case. Like they are saying, oh, is it like this? And you get the sense that he's just picked a drawing in the book. It could, you know, like, maybe it wasn't that in particular. But I think the Pink Doctor's kind of, it's the shadow of that memory. It is the dark, because the memory, because he even says at one point, I've not thought about that since I was a kid. The idea that the lesson that was learned there, the shadow, is in there somewhere, waiting to sort of trigger when the need arises for like the preservation or the protection needs to kick in, and that's why the transcendence. I mean, assuming that they don't always want to go to this stage and they do want to just have it work there. Like, that's why it kicks in at that point, because the shadow's saying to her, that voice in the back of her head saying, no, something's not right here.
Yeah, this is wrong now.
Yeah. So that's what the episode is. That's my interpretation of the episode. And that's why it ends right there.
Yeah, I feel pretty similar. Like, you get the message at that point. That's it. It doesn't need any more after that.
Admittedly, though, I think right up until that point, though, I don't think it's clear what the message... like, there was a good first half of this episode where, obviously, when she starts talking about this trial, like, okay, right, so it's a repressed sexual memory, obviously that's going to play into it somehow, but it wasn't until right at the end where I really got what the episode was getting at.
Right, no, I agree, but I think that's clever, because it leaves you with that realization. Where, you know, a lot of times you know what it is early on, in not necessarily just in this show, but in general, you know what your message is, and then you're just watching to see how things react to that, you know, how things play into that theme. Whereas here, you're kind of wondering, what is it, and then right, answer. That's it, no more. You don't need it. You've got your answer now.
Yeah. I think if you don't actually get what the ending means, I think I can see this episode being really frustrating for people, because I think it'll just feel like it ends and it's like, well, what just happened?
Yeah, like what happened?
Yeah. I think if you read it though and you get what it's doing at the end, it's actually a pretty strong, you know, trippy of course, and really surreal and cerebral. Like you're not prepared for all that cock in your face, I don't think. But then that actually emulates her experience, because all of a sudden she had cock in her face and she didn't ask for cock in her face.
Right, so, and that's for the whole thing. The whole thing is just suddenly this is overwhelming and what's going on, and she just reacts on instinct and self-preservation instead of actually thinking through anything logically. That's why it's such a shock that it just happens. So
in a weird way, it actually emulates her experience for us, and I didn't even think of that when I was watching it, but it kind of does. Like, all of a sudden at the end, everything just ramps up and it's like, oh, this isn't what I was expecting, this isn't what I thought it would be.
Yeah.
This is actually very invasive, what you're doing, and like, I'm feeling violated here. Like, it actually recreates that because it's so calm and normal. Well, not normal, but it's so calm and kind of subdued the whole episode, and then all of a sudden, dick in your face.
And then the episode ends the moment where the experience ends for her. That's it. The journey's over. She's stopped this. Yeah. So that there is no more story to tell. It's over.
Yeah. As far as her having her first period after this experience, I think maybe that's just showing that she is, like, because she even says, I think she phrases, "I became a woman that day," or whatever way she said it. Like, the idea is that it's that loss of innocence. Like, it's just part of that growing up kind of idea that now she's sort of over that line. Kind of thing.
That's it. Like you say, her line is, "I became a woman that night." So it's like, that's it. There's no going back from this. There's no unlearning that information.
Yeah. Obviously, menopause doesn't work into that metaphor very well, but other than that, yeah.
Shut up! Don't ruin it.
But I get what you're saying. The idea that
Yeah.
once that starts, it's a consistent thing in a woman's life until
Yes.
much later. Yeah. So there you go. That's episode 3.
Yeah, I will say one thing about this show in general is I think is being consistent is it's really nailing mood and tone. Like even if the mood and tones are different in each episode, it's consistently felt like it's got a style and a mood to present. Like it's just dripping with it.
Yeah, it never just feels like it's just shooting like a sitcom.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm sure if there's one that does feel like that, that'll be the point. Like it's meant to feel sitcom-y.
Yeah.
So, there you go. Episode 3. I like this episode quite a bit. I think one's obviously I don't think it's maybe as immediately engrossing as say episode 1, where it's all it's creepy from the get go. I think this one
there's the mystery of it though, and the intrigue as to what's going on. Why is this cult priest here?
And like I say, I think because you know what type of show it is, you almost expect that there will be maybe there will be an ending where she goes into an alternate reality or transcends to a higher plane of existence or something.
Yeah, I think that's the smart thing. The show you're questioning everything at all times, so you're never quite sure where it's going to go.
Because it might just do that. It's an anthology. That said, to be fair, all of the resolutions so far have not veered into necessarily, actual things being supernatural or whatever. Like the first one, you can explain away with, no, this is just someone being crazy. The second one, it turns out to all be whatever. Yeah,
I think the second one's definitely the most definitive so far.
Yes.
Whereas 1 and this, there's a bit of leeway if you want to interpret it a bit differently.
Yeah, there's a chance there could be something. Like there was that moment with the electrical flickering. Right. It's like, what does that mean if nothing else? And I don't know how to interpret that moment actually, given where the rest of the episode goes.
No, that's it, because the rest of it kind of seems to be like, no, this is a scam, doesn't it? By the end, you kind of feels like, no, this is just something for their gain. This is, they're getting the money. But, then why does her story affect the room, or is it just coincidence?
That's the thing, yeah, because there's a storm like that.
Well, we see that. That's it. It could just be coincidence.
Lights flicker. It happens.
Right. I think like this episode and the first one, you can read it as more. Yes. Like there could actually be more going on if you want to read it that way.
And to be fair, in the first one, we lean more towards that side of things. But I definitely agree. There's the chance that no, this is purely just someone with mental issues rather than anything else. It could be.
Right. It could be.
So, but no, yeah, that's episode 3. We're liking this show a lot. I'm looking forward to episode 4. So who knows what it'll be, because it could be anything. Could be. I know there's an interpretive dance one coming up somewhere, but I have no idea what number that is.
I think that's 6.
I think that's 6. Well, we'll find out. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Let us know what you thought of the episode in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on Twitter at mild_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel, head over at patreon.com/milefuzztv. You can do that over there. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching. Keep watching TV. Have you got any vanilla?